Skinning fish. I have here some very nice smoked fish. This happens to be cod, and it comes with the skin on it. Now when skinning raw fish, the technique is to put it flat on a board, on a clean board. You want a sharp knife, you don't need a big knife, make sure it's sharp, and then you make a little nick up at the tail end, and then holding the tip of the tail down with your finger, just gently keeping the blade flat, just at a very slight angle. You see, you just want a very slight angle here, and then you just quietly work the blade through, but you've got to keep this tail under tension, so you keep the fish absolutely flat on the board, and you can just gently work your way through it, just quietly sliding it. You shouldn't need to use a lot of force, just quietly sliding. What you may do is just to push down on the fish to make sure that the skin is absolutely flat on the board, so you don't have any problems with the skin curling up. And all I'm doing is making absolutely sure this is flat, and just quietly and gently working the knife through it. And here we go. And we only need a thin bladed knife. We don't need, and you can see it's coming away very cleanly here. But all we have to do is to make sure that the fish is very tightly flat on the board as we go. And that way it can't lift up and get caught in the blade. Sometimes you find, depending on where the fillet's being taken from, you may find on one edge it's a little bit tricky. If it is, then all you need to do is you cut up towards that edge and then do that edge from the inside at the end. And we should find now I can just lift this quietly up with the blade, and we have an absolutely perfect skinned piece of fish. This can now be rolled up and disposed of in whatever way you normally do. And that's it, one skinned fillet of fish. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to take this other piece. Now this is a more irregular shape, and it's a little bit curly at the end here. We take a view on where's the best place to start, and I think with this the best place to start is if we take this corner here, make sure that you've got it really flat. Take this corner here, just hold it down with a fingernail and gently put the knife underneath, and you can see we've just very gently lifted the corner of the skin here with the knife. So all I've done is just hold this skin down with my fingernail, gently with the corner of the knife, and just quietly working the knife through. As the skin exposes, you can get your fingernails underneath it and hold it so that it stays flat. But just quietly moving the knife through. You're not using any force, but you're keeping the skin flat on the cutting board so that it doesn't wrinkle, and keeping it under tension. You can see we're just coming through here. This is very, very thin, the fish, on this edge here, which is the bit which is right on the belly of the fish, which has the thin flesh. And then here, and we've got to be careful here because of the way this is curled. If the worst comes to the worst, we might just have to trim that little bit off separately. But we're just going to quietly go through here and see what happens. I can feel some bones in here somewhere. There we go, and just quietly going through, not using a lot of force. And because this edge is curled up, I'm working towards that edge so it goes flat as I go to it, and that way it doesn't actually work its way up under the knife, keeping the skin as tight as I can underneath. And there we go. It is a little bit tricky when you have a curl like this, but it can be done. And there we go. Just quietly moving the knife, and there we go. There's some bones in here which are getting in the way, so I'm going to have to release them. There we go. And this this flesh is so thin it doesn't come away. So there we go. That little bit there is so thin it's broken off. And that's fine, and you can see right up to the corner we have the skin, and the flesh, and the fish is now absolutely perfect. We can scrape that little bit off. But this was really quite an awkward piece because of the way it was curled at the edge and an awkward shape. And that, there we go, 2 very nice skinned fillets of fish.